You are listening to the Proverbs for Living a Fulfilling Life podcast. Hi, this is your host, Dr. Rick Upchurch. These Proverbs come from a lifetime of experience. My goal in sharing them with you is to help you avoid some of life's pitfalls and hopefully give you some tools to live a more fulfilling life. I hope you will ponder the proverb in this episode and take away something that you can use.
Most relationships fail because of poor communication. Poor communication is caused primarily because of our inability or unwillingness to listen. In fact, one of the benefits of listening is strengthened relationships. When we listen more than we talk, our marriages improve, our work relationships are improved, our relationships with our children and parents are improved. Quite literally, learning to listen more and better can transform every relationship in our life. I'm going to share with you some characteristics of an effective listener. Techniques, if you will, on how to be a better listener. However, before I do that, let me tell you the philosophical foundation for effective listening. Are you ready? It's a shocker. It's not all about you. We see the same thing conveyed in Paul's letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verses 3 through 4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. That's right. If you're going to be able to listen effectively, you have to get over yourself and accept the significance of others. By doing this, you can reap the full benefits that are found in effective listening. So what are the characteristics or techniques of an effective listener? First of all, they enter fully into the conversation. That's right. Lay aside any distractions and focus on the other person or persons in the conversation. We are so easily distracted by our phones, social media, and especially ourselves that we often forget there are even others in the room. Entering into the conversation means looking at the other person. It means providing appropriate body language, feedback that indicates you're engaged in the conversation, like nodding at the appropriate time, or making some verbal indicator that you've heard what was said, asking relevant questions and chiming in with your thoughts when appropriate. Second, don't listen to respond. This is the most single typical error made in listening, and it goes back to our philosophy of life. It's really all about me. But if we can break free of that and listen without trying to formulate a reply, we might actually hear what is being said. Don't listen to give advice. Don't listen so you can provide a one-up story showing how much you are wonderful and thereby turning the conversation back to yourself. Don't listen to respond. Just listen. Third, don't interrupt. Effective listening happens when we can approach the conversation with an open mind and a willingness to hear. Allow the other person the privilege of sharing their entire thought without jumping in to finish their sentence. You may think you know where the conversation is going, but it isn't all about the words. The journey is often just as important. Fourth, ask pertinent questions for clarification. When you can ask questions that draw out the other person and help them more fully articulate themselves, you are actually beginning to listen. By asking questions, you're not only listening to what is said, you're giving the other person a huge gift. Fifth, listen to what is not being said. That's right. Listen to what is not being said. This is the part of listening that is most often missed. In fact, It is this point where a lot of conversations actually break down and go awry. Sometimes what people say isn't what they think they said or meant to say. But when we hear it, it triggers something within us that we feel we have to respond to. Stop. When you hear something like that, engage the other person's body language and levels of stress in their demeanor. Go back to the previous point and ask some clarifying questions. You might be surprised to find that you have completely misheard their intent, if not their words. If you practice these listening techniques of effective listeners, you will move up to a master-level listener whose relationships are an example of putting others before yourself. I want to encourage you to stop talking and listen. Not merely listen, but to intensely listen. Fiercely listen. Listen not just to the words being said, but also to the emotions behind them. Pay attention to the choice of words used. Ask questions to clarify what you think you heard, and don't assume anything. Really listen until you have heard, and then listen some more. If you can repeat the information back in different words with the same emotional content, you might have heard what was said. And only then will you be able to respond effectively. But you'll have to listen more than you talk.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast and leave a comment. I love reading fan comments. In every case, the information in these proverbs is merely the tip of the iceberg of information related to that specific topic. If you find that one or more of these particularly resonate with you, do a little research in the area, and I'm sure you will find more information that will help you. Don't hesitate to leave me a message. I'll be glad to help or point you in the right direction. May God bless you and strengthen you on your journey.